Hey, good morning, my people. What's up? I hope and trust that all is good. Today is Monday the 16th day of February 2026. And the time right now is 7 minutes before the 10 a.m. hour, 9:53 a.m. Well, this morning, as I was going through the newspapers, reading the newspapers, I came upon an observation that was written by D. Giselle Isaac in the Daily Observer. And the observation is captured. Delayed justice is denied to whom? That's the caption of the observation. Normally, I would read Mrs. Isaac pieces. Generally, they're thought-provoking, good pieces. But this one struck a nerve, and I would want to encourage everyone who would see this podcast to go to the Daily Observer today, for today, the 16th, and have a read. Have a read. I was wondering how I was going to do, or what I was going to do to try to get it out there. Um, convert it to Facebook, too big. Convert it to a video, too big. Um, but I definitely, you know what? Let me read. Let me read the observation. Let me read the observation because I find that to me is very, very important. And I, for one, I mean, I never say never. I never know what can happen. But I really don't see, I honest to God don't see how in my lifetime I can ever vote to replace the Privy Council as our final court of appeal in favor of the CCJ when we cannot even get it done right at the basic level. I don't see how I could do it. But we will deal with that in time. Justice delayed is denied to whom? By DJ Isaac. Last October 11, 2025, I looked at news that would indicate progress had been made in certain criminal cases which had horrified and saddened the nation, as that date is designated the International Day of the Girl Child. There was no joy, however. No, with March 8th, International Women's Day, a mere 3 weeks away, we are hearing that the case involving the alleged abduction and death of 9-year-old Chantel Crump could be dismissed in the magistrate court for want of justice. We all know the adage that justice delayed is justice denied, but some matters ought to prompt us to ask, denied to whom? The victim or the accused? And in my specific and very personal case, I will add, and where was this type of magistrate when I was the accused? In the Chantel case, the attorney representing the person on remand has told the court that the delay of 11 months is unconscionable and unfair to his client. And if he was representing me, I'd agree and commend him. But when he was my accuser, and in his capacity as commissioner or in his capacity as police commissioner 11 years ago, I remember how many times in more than 11 months I trekked to the magistrate court only to be told the police are not ready yet, and stand silent in the dock as the clerk found me yet another date on the calendar. I don't know when, if ever, I will be able to forgive the now hotshot criminal attorney for causing me to have to leave my eldest brother as he lay dying in the hospice in order to attend yet another court appointment, only to be told by Magistrate Clark, quote, "My condolences on your loss, Miss Isaac, but the police are not ready," end of quote. Just as distinctly, I remember one of my attorneys, Chaku Simister, asking the chief magistrate during another delay, shouldn't the police have had evidence before they charged my client? And you know what he said? You know what she said? Sorry? Yes, they should. But this is how things are done in Antigua. The striking thing is that I had not been accused of abduction or homicide, or even human trafficking, as has been the case, as has been one lucky woman, now deceased, whose case was dismissed in about 6 months because the cops were not ready. So, like most of the befuddled population, I'm sitting here marveling that a matter as serious, as horrifying, as tear-jerking as Chantel's death is on the verge of going for nothing for want of prosecution. What, then, is the likelihood of justice being pursued for a teenage mother whose body was thrown out like mango skins along Fig Tree Drive, even though it was a cop himself who found her allegedly abandoned toddler? What are the chances that the other little girl who lost her hand and her life in a chopping frenzy on a beach will rest in peace while her killer or killers breathe the air? And how can we, citizens and residents, ever feel protected and secure in a system where the man responsible for public safety, the police force, and the courts is intimidated in the capital city by a rat as big as a cat? I think most people would agree right now that justice is not blind, only indifferent. Because when the cabinet can advise a billionaire to prosecute nationals who crossed his property to get to a beach, and these patriots have been showing up in court repeatedly, only to be told the prosecution is not ready. And when this broke administration can muster up a reward of $50,000 for information on who torched some APO equipment, then what justice are we really talking about in this place? It seems that the system is capable of being sensitive to the suffering, but only selectively. After all, when an American visitor was convicted for having ammunition in her luggage, by the time we learned of her 1 year sentence, she was already safely back in the US of A. Compliments our Justice CEO. And when another visitor's wife and son curiously were washed over Devil's Bridge while gazing at our sunrise, the tourism overseer saw to it that the bereaved husband returned home was swift and unhindered by the inconvenience of a proper investigation. I keep watching Sad Crime 2020 and 48 Hours, expecting the next chapter in that matter. Why do we, the people, matter so little in these 170 square miles? And I'll ask that question again for her. Why do we, the people, matter so little in these 170 square miles? How can those sworn to protect and serve us with so little, how can those sworn to protect and serve us with so little respect, so little regard? Why have these young girls' lives been cut short with so little consequence? Some folks are whispering that the danger is in where active investigation might lead, and that a teenage sex ring might be at risk. Really? We already know, long time now, that sex offenses involving schoolgirls and their handlers do not count in Antigua. But in 2 of the 3 cases in question, we are certain these girls did not die by natural means. So are you telling me that the murder of these children doesn't count either? It is accepted wisdom that a society is judged by the way it treats its most vulnerable members, so particularly the aged and the young, If Chantel's case actually ends up being dismissed for a want of prosecution, for a lack of patience by a magistrate, and because a former commissioner argues that the weight is not fair to his client, then Lady Justice is just as dead as the 3 little bodies the system has buried, but does not mourn. And that is the observation there. And to me, this is one for the records because it accurately, in my mind, depicts what happens in this country. Accurately depicts what happens in this country. And as I said before, and I'll say again, never say never, because you don't know what tomorrow holds. But as I'm talking to you today, 3 minutes after the 10 a.m. hour, I can't see how in my lifetime I will ever vote to replace the Privy Council as a final court of appeal for this country in favor of the CCJ. I can't see how it's going to happen. I cannot see how I can do that. And I hope, as we did before, we will again defeat. And I like to use. Oh, come on, where is it? I want to use that as I'm going out. I hope, as we did before, we will again defeat the man responsible for public safety, the police force, and the courts. I again hope that we can defeat him, and we will defeat him with the help of the Almighty God, because he has not yet gotten over being intimidated by a rat as big as a cat. Have a nice day, my people. Go and have a read. Share it wide. Sensitize our people to what is happening to justice in this country. Take care until we come together again.